I guess about 3 years ago, I'm involved in an agricultural estate in St. John, and I was trying to find a way to make the business less volatile, less lumpy. Agriculture is inherently a very risky business venture. It is a good business area to be in, but there's a lot of variables outside of your control. You can plan your best. So I was looking for a way to provide a bit of stability to the business, and I saw solar PV and renewables as a way to utilize the inherent asset of land towards a consistent revenue stream to basically make the whole farm more sustainable. In my view, I think all farms in Barbados need to look at PV, and I think, in my view, farms should be given the preference mixing agriculture and renewables, and not seeing it as taking land out of agriculture. It's not a lot of land required, and I see it as a good mix of the two, both from a revenue generating standpoint, so you sell power to the grid, but also from a cost substitution standpoint, running things like water pumps, irrigation, on off-grid wind and solar panels. We operational in the first week of November 2019. We've been in operation for 18 months, and they say experience is what you get when you get what you don't want. And we've had plenty of things we didn't want, including volcanic ash a couple of weeks ago, grids being down in November 2019. The first month we went live, the grid went down for 2 days and you earn no money. So, I think there's a feeling right now in Barbados that the next gold rush is renewables, is solar panels. Just put up solar panels. And in my view, solar panels is not a way to get rich. If you want to get rich fast, go to Garrison or buy some lotto tickets. Renewables is a way. Obviously, it's good for Barbados from a macro standpoint, but it is a slow way, a slow investment, a long-term investment. It's quite a lot of capital, both in land and infrastructure, and it's not something that you should go and put in $1 and borrow $99, because things can go wrong. And at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in a good night's sleep. And Signia, and it's important to have a financing part in your projects, but a good, if you do it all in cash, it's fine. If you have that, you can do it. If you do it, 2/3 debt and 1/3 equity, that's a good mix, and that's a good way of sort of fast tracking your investment. But it's not something that you just are going to get rich overnight. It doesn't work. So it's a compounded interest over many, many years. So I think that's something broadly people need to understand. This is an outline of the first solar farm we put up. It's about 2 and a bit acres, and it's 475 kilowatts. And we are currently, this picture is about 6 weeks old, and to the left of the existing panels, we're putting in another 1,500 panels approximately, which will take us up to about 950 kilowatts. So it will, by June, it'd be a good sized solar farm. And that's a rough idea. As I said, the farm itself is about 600 acres, and we have about 40 acres of vegetables around the farm. And what it has really done is, as I said, stabilize the income stream and being able to plan longer term for your business. So I think from a practical standpoint, these projects take a long time. This one here is where we are integrating our infrastructure, one of our tractors with a fire cart. 2 Mondays ago, when the ash came down, I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do. And I went to Koyman and bought 8 garden hoses. but by Tuesday, we had settled on a solution. We wanted a fast, low-cost, repeatable solution that if the ash continued for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, or came again in a week's time, we would have a solution. And basically, we had a fire cart on site, a tractor on site. We modified the fire cart to produce a larger volume of water, and we're now able to clean 1,600 panels in about an hour and a half. So what that shows is important is the synergies between your existing operation and the maintenance around the solar panels. Without that fire cart, it would have taken us a day to clean those panels, and it would have involved probably 6 people doing it. And if we didn't have sort of our own well, we would have had to buy the water from the water authority, and it probably would have cost more to clean the panels, a combination of the two, than it was the way we did it. So I think agriculture and PV go very nicely. All of our irrigation is driven by, this is some lettuce we're planting, all of our irrigation comes from our well and is driven by pumps run by DC pumps off of solar. So we are very much practicing sustainable agriculture. And so that's another example. So, one of the challenges we had at the beginning, and I see Manny Ward on here, Manny has a lot of sheep, was the cost of maintaining it with weed whackers and so on. We bought 8 sheep, and suddenly we had 20 sheep. I don't know what magic went on there, but the sheep are an important, and we plan to expand that. As we bring 5 and 6 acres in, we will bring more sheep in, and we actually now sort of selling sheep are in the sheep business. So it's amazing how 2 things merge together. But the 2 certainly are, there's synergies there. In terms of the project and in terms of putting it all in place, I would say it took us about a year to get the various permissions required. I would say it probably took us about 12 months. It probably is taking longer now with COVID and the various things to get permission. Permission is a significant bottleneck in the planning department in terms of getting permission to put up ground-mounted systems. I'm not as familiar with the roof-mounted system. I'm interested in ground-mounted commercial solar systems and large wind-based systems. So that takes, and I don't know right now, it could take 18 months. I mean, time is the risk at the moment. And if you buy a piece of land and you're hoping to get permission or lease a piece of land, it takes another 18 months or 24 months to get permission. You have a significant risk. So you have to take that into fact. Once we got that permission, there were various licenses, energy licenses we had to apply for. And also connection impact assessments, which determine whether there's capacity on the grid near you, which my suggestion is to get, unless you are a very, very bright person, or you know what you're doing, my suggestion is to get one of the providers. There are lots of consultants out there and lots of providers that provide, some provide services, some provide total solutions. And not all of them are good. I mean, I think you just have to be careful what you ask. Is like, if you ask the barber, if we ask the barber if we need a haircut, of course he's going to say yes, So I think just, ask your questions carefully, but along the way, get somebody that knows what they've done it before to help you, because if not, you'll go step to step, and each time you'll figure it out, Once we got the planning permission, we commenced the project. That was about April 19, and we went live in November. And I would say, from a Signia standpoint, Signia was a significant part of the speed of the implementation. We worked well together, Aisha and Romel, and it was a fast process. We understood what we want. We had an open book policy, and in terms of that financing, the project, Signia played a big part, and I am very grateful to Signia for their assistance over the 30 months of being working together on this project. And so get a recognized player, and there's lots of electrical stuff. There's civil works, there is interconnection, there's transformer purchases, equipment rooms, there's lots of tasks, and there's no sense trying to figure it out yourself. Somebody else has figured it out before, and just, you know, pay them to do it, or listen carefully and get it free. You know, I do feel that one of the challenges. Well, let me say, anybody, I'm not sure everybody's sort of requirement from this session, but as I said, my interest and my specific area is commercial, ground mounted, and wind. And I would say, you know, if you have land and you have cash, buy the expertise and do it yourself. If you have land and don't have cash, look for a partner, a cash partner and a debt partner, and do it that way. But try and do it in groups. I think we have to be careful we don't end up with large systems here being too fragmented, and then that's going to present problems for Light and Power. Light and Power do have a challenge as the renewable size increases and the volume of renewables on the grid. Their responsibility, and they're a very, very good utility. They're a good utility to work with. I have nothing but praise for Light and Power. And they have a big task in terms of moving from diesel generator based system towards one which has renewables on it. And that is going to require some careful planning as the renewables goes up, or even as the demand comes down. You know, if the demand comes down because of a lockdown and the renewables goes up, your percentage of renewables on the grid is going to become higher, which in essence can create an unstable grid. And we know what happened in 2019 is not really related to renewables, but what happened in Texas a few months ago with the winter storms was related to wind and things. So things can go wrong. So it's something, I mean, at the end of the day, when I come home, I like to make sure I can watch TV and I got lights I can do, you know. So I think a stable grid is very, very important for going forward, and we have to support Light and Power in this transition. That was one of the cash flow areas that you live and you learn. As I said, experience is what you get, what you don't want when you don't want it. But so it started off as I thought it would be monthly. It started off as quarterly, and I had to work with Aisha and Rommel to restructure our payment program to match. I mean, the money was good and it was coming in. It was just coming in at a slightly different cycle. That has changed in recent times. I don't know if that's across the board or based on a particular size, but it certainly helps cash flow when you get paid every month versus every quarter. So, Aisha, to your question, is I think for large systems, they're trying to go monthly. I don't know what it is for all the systems.